I know the most common question people used to ask me, how much is pure water machine? As of today, you can get pure water machine between 2.7 million, 2.8 million naira. That's how much you will get it. So I'm sure I've already answered like 50 to 60% of the people who were initially interested in that question. So you can also get fairly used one. That's a pre-owned machine, the one that someone has used before. You can get them for a good rate, especially if the person selling it is selling as a result of maybe they lost interest in the business, or maybe one or two things came up that makes them want to exit the business. So, but basically, that's 2.7, 2.8 is how much you will be getting this kind of machine you see behind me. I've also had some manufacturers of equipment also reach out to me. These are mostly companies from China who also supply the equipment. Although if you compare the prices, if you compare Nigerian price and compare Chinese price, you will see that there is some difference, or there are some gaps like that you want to profit from it. But the thing is, before the machine gets here, they usually have to check those equipments. Then there is a minimum order which they receive before they can send down to other countries, I think like Nigeria and the rest. The last time I requested to know if I could supply to a customer directly from China, they said that the minimum number of machines they can deliver, in short, initially it was 3, they told me, but the last time I asked is 5 machines. So that means if you want to buy sachet water machine at the actual rate which you'll be getting from China, you'll be buying minimum of 5 machines. So if you intend to go for such setup, maybe you are thinking of setting up with 5 machines and above, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, depending on how many, you can place the order from China. But if you are going for like a basic setup, which a lot of people that have contacted me, is a basic setup they are going for. That basic setup, you get at least from Nigerian suppliers, you can get it for that 2.7, 2.8. So that's the rate for the sachet water setup. And some people too have asked me, sometimes when I get some questions, I feel as if you've not really researched my video, because if you check out my YouTube channel, I have lots of videos there. In short, I recently posted a full lecture, NAFDAC lecture, on how to set up a water factory. You know me, I used to come and do my own here. I will say, okay, this is what you should do to set up a water factory. But this particular lecture is a full training from NAFDAC officially, not any third party. This is like from NAFDAC, National Agency for Food and Drugs Administration and Control in Nigeria. So they created that lecture, and I have the full lecture on my YouTube channel. So if you are really interested in setting up a water factory, I will highly recommend you click on the link in my bio. If you open this page now, this page that I'm doing this live stream, just open the link you will see in the page. So that's a link to my YouTube channel. When you get there, you will see my videos on sachet water setup, bottled water setup. I think it's only dispenser I've not done for up till now. But there was a video actually that I covered of a full factory that has both sachet, bottled and dispenser. And everything is there. You will see it, you understand. You will watch the video and you will see the whole thing as it's operated. Then you can also check the NAFDAC lecture too, so that you get full details on how to officially set up a water factory and how much it will cost you for NAFDAC registration. You know, NAFDAC registration is done zonally. So, but I believe the people that delivered this lecture, they're from the headquarters here in Abuja. So basically what they are lecturing, or the information they are sharing there, is the information that I think applies all across Nigeria. So for those interested, I think that's a very good video, a good resource that will help you in understanding more about business. So yeah, then for the setup of bottled water, and for bottled water you will need a plot of land for it. And similar to sachet water, the bottled water production setup also requires treatment equipment. As long as you are packaging water, either sachet, bottled, dispenser, gallons, you need water treatment section, because the water treatment section is what treats the water that you are packaging. You are not just going to package water for people like that. You need to treat it then before packaging it. So for the equipment, you can get the equipment in Nigeria. We have them available in Abuja and also in Lagos. There are other suppliers too around. You could probably do some research if you're interested and find those that can supply for you. Supplying and installing is very crucial, because I will highly recommend that the person supplying to you should be able to also help with the installations, or at least connect the engineers that will handle the various areas of installations. Because if they supply to you and another person is installing, you might have some issues. And one thing again is, some engineers, or most engineers, they usually want to do things their own way. So if you call someone to supply equipment for you and you call another person to install, the person coming to install will tell you, oh, that you are missing this one, the person that supplied the equipment for you didn't bring this one, didn't bring that one, didn't bring that one, and you will end up spending some money again to go and buy some other things and put. So you will now feel as if the other people that supplied to you didn't really know what they are doing. Meanwhile, the project, there is a main goal, which is to treat and package water. Now, depending on the quality of your raw water, it will determine how much you'll be spending to treat the water. I've had cases where people have told me that they want to produce the best water, but if you tell them how much it will cost to get all the equipment, all the filters and the machines that will give them good water, they will tell you it's too expensive, that they will tell you that they are not able to do it. So how do you want to achieve excellence or quality when you are not willing to actually sacrifice and invest in that which will guarantee that quality and excellence you are looking for? So those things are usually there, but all in all, if you are working with at least someone with experience, someone who has done such projects before, they should be able to actually give you some good guidelines and counsel you properly on how to go about it. Because some counsel you might receive sometimes is not based on what the reality of the project is. It is based on what the individual can get and find for their own. That is why you might receive some counsels like that. And I think it cuts across other businesses too, not just only water business. Let's say you are going with construction of factory, or you want to buy tanks. You know, a lot of market people do it. And sometimes when I'm in the market and I see somebody trying to be sneaky or just trying to sell their product, I usually detect it and I know. And you can sense dishonesty there, because the person is not really interested in helping you achieve that particular goal, but they are just trying to do it for what they will get in return. Let me give you an example. Let's say, for example, now I go to the market and I need tanks. I need storage tank for water. Now the storage capacity that I need maybe possibly is around 10,000 liters, and I need a single tank. You know, you can work with either a single tank, or you can get for 5,000 liters 2 tanks. But let's say I have a slab for only a single tank. and I go to the market. Now, what some traders would actually do is when you tell them this is what you need, if they don't have it, they'll try to convince you to sell another thing for you, which in the general sense might affect your overall project. Now, sometimes you might be swayed by sweet mouths. They'll tell you, oh, it will do now. They'll say, people they buy them. They'll say, people used to get it like that you too should get it. That person that is swaying you to buy that thing is not in your position and doesn't really know what the settings look like, or what your own idea is all about. So when you go into the market to get things like that, especially for projects, you should be very firm in what you want to get and what you aim to achieve. You should even know your budget. You should know how much you have, because sometimes some people will tell you they don't even like discussing about budget. Somebody contacted me and told me he needs my help, that I should help him, I should consult for him. So I was trying to understand, okay, he was asking me for cost of equipment and some other things like that. I told him, okay, this is how much you could get the equipment for. He will complain. I'll tell him, okay, he will ask me for solar. I told him, okay, this is how much we get. I also share the contacts. That's one thing. I'll share you the contacts of the people which are supplying the equipment or who will be doing some certain installations, so that at least you can also have direct communication with them. So when I did that, I now asked, okay, how much is your budget now for this project? And he started saying, no, he doesn't want to discuss about budget. He is asking me the questions. I shouldn't be asking him how much is his budget. So if you are telling me you want to achieve so project and you are not being transparent with me how much you are willing to spend in order to achieve this, or you are not being transparent in such a way that me too I could say, okay, this is how I feel, you can go about it, then you are not really being open. And in such cases, it will seem as if like you won't be able to plan accordingly, and you won't be able to make decisions when it comes to setting up the overall project and actually implementing what you want. So having a sound knowledge of all the equipments and how much you need in order to move further is what will help you actually achieve your project as a whole. I can see several people coming in and some people also liking. I can see Black FIFA. I said Black FC. I can see event rentals. Thank you for all the likes. Yeah, so that's just it in regards to budgeting side. So like I said, I don't have any script in particular. I'm just going to be going with the flow and giving some tips that comes to mind in regards to how one should actually proceed with the project. Another thing again is I would like to talk on is electricity. Now you can see lights in the factory behind me. You can see that there is light, but this is not always the case. There are times where there is no light, especially the dry seasons. Especially you see February, March, and April. We suffer with light issue. As in, you know what they mean suffer? We suffer. In Nigeria or in Abuja here, we suffer with light. Now that April period, there are times where even for 1 week you won't see light. It's around that time you hear national grid will collapse like 4 to 5 times in a single year. So what we use to remedy this thing is, number one, we plan production. So if we know that, okay, there is no water on ground and there will be light within a certain period of time, you can now plan your production to know how you will go about it, and when there is light, when to produce, so that everything balances up. Now if that one doesn't work for you, the next thing we also do is we have a backup generator. So the backup generator also helps in providing us with electricity to meet up with the market. Now we don't want it throughout the day, but if we know that we have some customers who need water urgently and we are out of water, or maybe the storage, we've already given out the water that was on ground, the next thing we do is to on the generator and produce for some time. Now if we on the gen for an hour, it is expected that we work with the machine for an hour, and you will need to backwash and the rest, let's say for like 1 hour 20 minutes. So within that period, if you are working with one machine, it is expected that you will get at least 100 bags of pure water. And when I say 100 bags, I don't mean 100 sachets, because last time I posted a video where I said 100 bags per hour, some people were calling me they were saying I wasn't really telling them the truth. So when I say 100 bags an hour, I mean this one like this, you will have 100 in an hour, complete it like this. So that's what I mean by 100 bags per hour. But if you are talking about the sachets, that is a different calculation on this one. So if you are working with a generator, and depending on how many hours you work for, you can now know if at least you'll be able to meet up or not. Okay, I can see one question here from Event Rental. Is the demand for packaged water constant? It's not constant. It is constant, but not constant. I would like to give maybe an illustration with graph, you understand? And I think this basically applies to maybe any country or any place where they usually consume water. Now, during the heat period, the demand is high. That's the peak point of sales. But during the calm, rainy period, the sales it flatlines. It doesn't go down flat completely, but it comes down and somehow stays down for a while before the dry season and the heat period comes back. Then the demand goes up again. Like now, I will say for us personally, the demand has dropped because it has been raining seriously. In short, rain started falling this morning since around 6 in the morning, and up till now it's still drizzling. Rain is still falling outside. So if you ask me, I don't think I've drank up to a bottle of water today, Seth. I don't think. Maybe half, but not a full bottle of water. Although I've been up and down, I just got back to not too long, but yeah, you can see, I didn't mean it was the dry season. With all the up and down I've done today, at least by now maybe I should have drank like 4 to 5 bottles. But throughout today, because of the rain from morning and upon all the up and down I've done and the food I've eaten, I don't think I drank the whole bottle of water self completely, although it was on 5 CL. So yeah, so it is during the rainy seasons and the cold weather, when everywhere is cold, the water consumption somehow drops. But during heat season, during peak heat season, especially here too in Abuja, Abuja used to be very hot. Only you can drink close to a bag of water in a day. Like you see this bag I showed you, only you during dry season, you will probably drink like from here to here. Maybe what will be left will be like 4 or 8 sachets. So the demand used to be high, very high during dry season. In short, to the point where we have people who will come and wait. We are looking for cold water because we have cold room and freezers. We are also bringing another cold room to add to the one we already have here. So during that period, people demand for water, especially cold water, and that's the time where you see the prices too will also increase. So it's a good business to do, especially during the heat season, because you'll be seeing cash. There's good cash flow, especially in the water business. Cash comes in, it goes out, you buy materials, you sell, you keep your profits, you repeat the cycle. As you keep on doing it and you get better and you reduce expenses, you see that the money that will be going to your accounts will be more. And speaking on selling cold water, initially before this whole place was a factory. The business that was actually done was water distribution. So I shared it on my channel one time that my mom actually initially started the water business. That's the sales of water and the rest. That is as far back as when I was in primary school. So we're helping her with the sales. We still do up to now, sales and delivery of water. And since that time, me personally, I've seen what she has done with the money that she has gotten from just sales of pure water. Then she was not even selling bottled water, only pure water. And me, I I know what she has been able to achieve just from selling this pure water. And she was selling cold water. So cold water is something that is in demand, especially during heat period. And even if you don't have the budget to completely go into manufacturing, you can start with the sales and distribution. And although some of the distributors sometimes do compromise for substandard products because they want to make more profit, but the advice is to go for good products. And if you are selling cold, you will see that at least you'll be able to retain a good number of your profit. Somebody contacted me yesterday, I think it was yesterday. He shared a video with me of his solar setup. He also sells ice water. In short, his own is inside a nylon. I think maybe I'll post the video on my story later on. His own is inside a nylon, so they tie the nylon and they put the ice water inside freezer. They actually have like 3 of those freezers, and it's this modern door freezers, not those electrical AC owned and manually constructed like our own. Although they both have their own advantage and disadvantages, but for this particular setup I'm talking about, his own setup was just for those particular freezers. I think they were LG freezers that he was using. This is not sponsored by I'm not even talk about myself. So yeah, he was using those freezers, and those freezers from the video, they were actually delivering. You see the water ice, and he uses solar for the setup, 10 kVA solar. Yes, that's what he said he was using. And the compressors behind the compressors for the AC were DC, so they consume less energy compared to the traditional. So by having a setup like that and by investing in that, you will see that you can be able to achieve at least some decent amount of money from that particular business. And see another question here. I already built a bungalow with borehole tank. How much do I need to set up a pure water machine? If you have a bungalow, hope the bungalow is up to NAFDAC standard. It's not just the normal residential bungalow. If it is not up to NAFDAC standard, this amount I'm about to call now might increase, because we will still need to make some changes and it will go to expenses. But let's say you have the factory building already, everything is according to how it should be. For this particular setup, the pure water setup, I'll assume that's for one. You're looking at a budget of up to 9 million, 10 million at most for this particular setup. Now, if you're in a place where the water is not that bad, maybe the water is okay, because this particular 10 million setup that I just mentioned is including, that's like standard equipment, reverse osmosis, ozone generator, sand and carbon filter treatment, all those other filters and the rest that will give you good water. You are looking at that budget of 10 million since you already have your building and everything. But if the water is not that bad, because there are areas where you might not even really need some of these extra layers of treatment, you might just need the normal sand bed and the treatment plant, then with some filter. So in those areas, the amount might drop down to, let's say, 7 million. You buy the machine, buy every other thing, at least you should do installations for you. Yeah, that 7 should be okay for you. So that would be a budget. It all comes down to other factors surrounding the area. Do you have borehole? I don't think you mentioned borehole. Okay, yeah, you said there's borehole there. Yeah. So yeah, if all those things are there now, then that 7 million at least should be able to set up for you with one machine. But if the water is hard, you have hard water, like we are around this Abuja side, although I heard Lagos is worst. So you might need extra layers of treatment, which will require more money for it to get quality. So for such case, you are looking at 10 million. Now, this is for equipment. This is for equipment that I just mentioned. Now, the other thing again you need to think of is power supply, like I mentioned. I don't know if the bungalow or where the place is located there is light, or if you don't have light there, you need to estimate and also include electricity in your budget. This will either be for setting up and installing solar, or will be for generator. I will highly advise and recommend that you install solar. But the good thing I even see with solar is, even though it's not for your business, I think solar in general is just a good investment. Even if you are not using it at the moment, but as long as you're in Nigeria, you need backup power. You can just buy it, and even if you are not using it for the whole time, even if you stop, maybe you don't even need it for the business again, maybe you are relocating or something, I see solar as something that is always useful. You understand? It's just like, look at it small scale, it's just like buying a power bank. It gives you portable energy. So anywhere you find yourself, even if there's no light in the area, even if something happened that you don't have access to electricity, it will still serve you. And if you are looking at solar to install for the water factory, you are looking at possibly like 10 million, just like the same amount I mentioned for I'm trying to just understand some of these settings. The things are too much here. I don't know why TikTok is doing like this. So yeah, depending on the amounts you have at hand, lithium battery, solar inverter is the sure one, is the sure way to go. Once you are able to install that in your factory, you've rested with light issue. You understand? When people are calculating how much they are spending on electricity to buy lights, then you buy diesel, that one you just think of, okay, how much you are spending on fuel for your vehicles, because the vehicles too, depending on where your area of market is and how large the market is, you might need to be spending more on fuel to be able to penetrate and reach some remote areas. Will the 10 million solar investment be capable for sachet water? No, it won't be capable for both sachet water and dispenser. This is for sachet only. This is for sachet only. If you are talking about bottled water is a whole. For bottled water, you are looking at times 3 or times 4 of the power consumption of sachet water. Because for bottled water, you have heavy equipment. I would recommend you check out my YouTube channel, because I've actually done a video. I've shown the equipment that draw more energy for bottled water setup. You know, if this factory is a sachet water factory, there is no bottled water here, so that's why I can't show you anything about bottled water here. But for sachet water factory, for bottled water factory, you have monoblock machine, shrink wrapping machine, pet blowing machine, and your reverse osmosis. Now these 4 equipments, most likely they will be 3-phase equipments. And for like the shrink wrapping machine and the pet blowing machine, it consumes a lot of energy. There was a time where in our bottled water factory, we had a generator of up to 100 kVA. But do you know, even with that 100 kVA, sometimes before we turn on the shrink wrapping machine, we have to turn off some equipment in the factory before we turn on just that shrink wrapping machine. And if you are using generator self, the moment we turn on the shrink wrapping machine, we will hear the way the noise of the generator will change, just to tell you the amount of electricity and current is running. So for a factory of both sachet water and dispenser, you are looking at power consumption of possibly up to 150 kVA or even 200 kVA. And you know, when you are installing like solar, you will need to create room for allowance. That's for there is a term they call it, is it energy balance or something like that? I don't really know the time. Anybody that knows, you can leave it there. So you need that allowance for it. Let's say, okay, this machine is 5 kVA, the power consumption is 5 kVA. You won't be buying solar of 5 kVA for it. You will be buying solar of 7 or 8 kVA for it. So that although it consumes that 5 kVA, but there's still some extra room, just to at least give some room for margin of error. You understand? So I just saw one comment here and it disappeared again.
Hey! Why are you shouting like that? Who is shouting? Why are you not shouting now?
Yeah, shouting outside. So for the bottled water, okay, can we have alternative for shrink wrapping machine? The other alternative will just take more time, which is the hot air gun. The hot air gun is used for wrapping the bottles around. Usually when they use that hot air gun is when you need to do repackaging. Maybe you have one pack of bottled water or maybe beverages. You know that particular pack. If you are trying to wrap it, or maybe the wrapping got loose, it fell and something happened to it, is that hot air gun we use to wrap it again. But if you want to wrap bottled water that you're producing with hot air gun, it will take you time. Maybe in a day you only be maybe naturally what you would have achieved with the shrink wrapping machine, maybe if you were to get like 200 packs. But if you are using that hot air gun, highest you get is maybe 50 packs. So you will even get up to half of what you need. So the shrink wrapping machine is just the main thing. There is no any alternative to that. That is why when some people message me and they ask me for prices and I give them, they will say, what can we remove from here? The thing is, if you remove anything from the list of materials that are needed for bottled water production, that means you are injecting inefficiency. I don't know if you understand. So let's say, for example, now you are saying, okay, you want to produce bottled water, but you don't want to buy the pet blowing machine. That's the machine that makes the bottles for you. You don't want to buy it, but you want to do bottled water production. You know, there are factories that actually do it. They will set up their bottled water factory, but they buy the bottles, or they outsource making the bottles to another company. What this does is it reduces your production time, and it even, it destabilizes your factory schedule. Let's say maybe you planned on producing 100 packs today and wanted to supply. Now you could call the people that are making bottles for you, and they might run into some disappointment. Or maybe if they don't even disappoint, the time which they might use to transport it down and the cost of transporting your bottles down to your own factory, it will affect you and your production. So usually those materials, they are all essential, like you need them. So you don't need to remove anything necessarily. You just need to do more. If there is anything you can do extra to foster your output, that's what you should be doing, not eliminating, because you are entering a competitive market. You are entering a market where you have other producers, other distributors that are competing market share and your customers with you. So you should try to do things that will improve your production and your efficiency, not reduce it, because at the end of the day you end up suffering. And what will happen is those big companies or those people doing will push you out of the market. So that's one major thing when it comes to production. I greet you too, Oga. How many kVA is the pure water machine? Are you asking just for the pure water machine? I think the pure water machine on its own is 1.6 kilowatts. Let me check. Yes, this is 1.6 kilowatts, and the voltage is 220 volts, then 50 hertz, that's 50 Hz. I don't know how to pronounce it like that. Then the packaging speed, it will give you 2,000 sachets per hour. You know, I said 100 bars per hour. So this one is sachet. It will give you 2,000. This machine will give you. So it will give you 2,000 in an hour. Then, the weight of the machine is 400 kilograms. That's the weight of this machine. So, basically, that's the weight of the machine. These are the nylons. This one is an exhausted nylon rope, but the full one is what we put behind this machine that comes out here like this. That comes out as the nylon which you see here, and actually do the packaging. So this is the nylon from this nylon film. This one now is around 3,300 per kg. That's this. Now 1 kg of this will give you around 35 bags, 35, 36, 37, depending on the quality and who is supplying to you. So 1 kg of this will give you 35 of this. 1 kg, 35. So one safety tip again is when you have this machine, make sure that all the connections are done properly, because this machine can shock. If there's any wire or anything that is not connected properly, just be ready for shocking and zapping. Then there is this line on here. This one is the packing bag. And this packing bag is what they use for packaging the sachet water. So basically, when you see someone is operating this machine or someone is an operator, what the person does is they do packaging. They'll put the sachets inside there and package it. Then they are able to troubleshoot the machines for you. So working with someone who has at least some decent experience handling this equipment will help you and save you money when there are a few things you need to troubleshoot. Let me see, which other question do I have here? Yeah, my number is on my page. Sometimes when I get this question that you need my number, I'm like, just check my page, check comment sections, check the page, check my videos, especially those long videos I post, or check my YouTube channels. In my YouTube videos, I don't leave my contacts there. Although, if you are contacting me, well, just contact me first, let's talk. But yeah, my number is not something hidden. If you just like take small time, I can guarantee you, if you check my page, in less than 2 minutes you'll find my number. So yeah, the number is there. And what type of company is it? Is it sachet water, or is it bottled water, or is it dispenser, so that we'll know? And for I'm trying to see which other comments is there. Okay, like how much for the material for bottled water? Yeah, the materials for bottled water, I'm guessing you mean the equipment. For the equipment, you are looking at a budget of bottled water is up to, you are looking at a budget of up to 75 million, 80 million. So that is how much we are looking at. And yeah, that's just the amount. But there are other things too that you will need to factor in, like power, like I said. So the power consumption for bottled water is quite high. So if you are thinking of buying a generator, you could possibly get a good diesel generator. But for solar, in short, one thing again with solar is, before solar is installed, you will need to visit your factory, actually assess all the equipment and everything you have on ground, before you can now know how much will accurately be needed and the materials that will be needed to set up the bottled water factory, or to actually install the solar for the bottled water factory. So the power consumption is very important, because all the equipment for bottled water production, including materials that are needed to package it requires electricity. You see, like for sachet water, once the water is on ground, even if there is no light, you can still do packaging. But for bottled water, once there is no light, you can't produce, you can't package, you can't do anything. So yeah, you need electricity for bottled water. And depending on where you are, your target market is something that you actually need to consider, because your target market are people you'll be supplying to. And once you have like good bases or good places that you're supplying to, you shouldn't really have any issue once your products are on ground. How can a starting brand or company to hit the market? How possible to sell about 1,000 bags a day? If you want to sell 1,000 bags in a day, I can't, depending on your location, because location matters. If it is around my area here, I'll tell you it's difficult for a new company. If you even see like 500 your first day, just thank God. But if you are in rural areas, that is why I do tell people, some people who have contacted me, a lot of people who watch some of these videos, to surprisingly, they are from diaspora outside the country. like they are trying to invest in Nigeria. And somebody contacted me one time that he wants to set up in Abuja. I said that Abuja is very competitive, not because maybe you see one or two persons who you know are doing Abuja, you feel maybe you want to come to Abuja, or because you heard Abuja is hot, you feel you want to come and do business in Abuja. The best place I feel we could possibly set up such investment of water is even in the rural areas. That is the best place that me personally, if you ask me, I will say you will even see the market. Now, why I say so is because a lot of rural areas, a lot of villages in Nigeria, they don't have this water factory. And before they even get the water, they will have to travel across one or two more villages before they can buy a bag of pure water. So it is a lucrative business, especially in rural areas, if you have the money for the whole setup and you have solar, good power supply. Now I know maybe some villages they might be struggling with electricity, and some might not even be struggling with the electricity. I heard some villages are flexing light more than even Abuja here and all those big cities you are looking at. So, but let's assume there is no light in the area. If you have the money to install solar and set up a sachet water factory, you've done something big for that community, because you've reduced the stress and the time for them to go and look for water. You've provided portable drinking water to the community. You've improved the status of the community. You've employed people living in the community, and you've generally brought development, and in a way you've educated the community. Because just setting up such projects, you have people who will be learning. They will be learning one or two things from the factory. They will be even learning new things about water. They will be learning new things about the whole setup as a whole. So it is something that if you are successful in achieving, especially in rural areas, then you shouldn't really have much issues when it comes to sales. And like for the 1,000 bags they are talking about, I don't know if it will be possible for you to just sell 1,000, except if you have the distributors that are willing to collect that amount, which in rural areas you might get distributor, but up to 1,000 bags, well, I don't know how you need to start and negotiate with those people, but you should just have an open mind and see the potential of the market. There's a market that if there's potential for it, that your products will sell, you will see it. So having a fixed amount in mind sometimes might put pressure on you and might actually discourage you if you are not able to achieve that particular amount. But if there's the possibility of sales, I would say it's there for you to sell. So, but tying a specific number or tagging it is something that I won't say on the first day you will be able to achieve, but over time I can see you achieving it. But if it is on the first day when you are just starting out, I don't think that's really feasible. So yeah, you can work on that. And like I was saying, in the rural areas, those are places where you have households, you have schools, you have markets, and in short, by setting up the water factory again in your community, you have, just like I said, you have people who are traveling to other communities to go and get water. It is now your community that people will be traveling to. They will be coming to come and get water. I know someone who recently set up a factory around the boundary between Kogi State and FCT. There's a village there too that they don't really have water, and they installed their own water factory, and they've been selling well because people are coming from the neighboring village. We have, especially if the village is somewhere that's even developing. So as the development is coming, as you are having markets, as you are having schools, as you are having people coming up there, you will see that water consumption too will increase. And if your area if it's a rural community where the heat period, there's usually heat very well, you see that the sales itself will also improve. It will double. So you are not answering me. You are not answering. Which question did you ask that I have not answered here? Let me know. because I can't really. I'm just trying to answer. How much can I use it? I've answered this. The people that have been watching this live stream for the beginning will know that I even said it. If this is the question that they are asking, I can even just make the whole live stream about answering this particular question, and I will still have people who will still come back and still ask me the same question, that how much they need. I already mentioned it. For setting up a sachet water factory, if you only need this machine behind me, you are looking at 2.8 million naira for the machine. If you are thinking of building from scratch, buying land and the rest, I don't know how much it will cost you exactly, but they are looking at a budget of 15 million upwards. And depending on the area to where you are buying the land, depending on where you are drilling borehole, depending on the depth of the borehole, depending on the kind of building, if you are going for normal building, if you are doing iron roofing, it all depends on that. It depends on the quality of water too. The quality of the water will determine the quality and the size of equipment which you will need to treat the water. So there is no particular fixed amount that I can tell you this is how much you need to go and set it up. But I can just tell you, okay, these are the things that you need. That's why I do hold one-on-one coaching sessions. Because in one-on-one coaching session, what I do there is I basically have a tailored discussion to know if what are the things that you need. So let's say, for example, now you already have an existing building, because there are people who already have existing buildings. There are people who have just a plain land. There are people who maybe they already have an existing factory, but they just want to revive it. So that one-on-one coaching is just meant to tailor the discussion specific to you, to know how much should be a working budget for you. Because someone who is starting afresh from scratch without anything, the amount that they need for the project is completely different from someone who is just thinking of buying one machine or buying two machines. And even if you have the same, like even if let's say for example, I'm thinking of setting up a factory here in this land here where I am. Then I have somebody who is my neighbor who is also thinking of setting up a factory. Although we might be setting it up in the same location, but I can bet you and assure you that at the end of the day, by the time we finish the project, you'll see that how much we spent are completely different. Because the person setting up there might want to buy, in short, even for distribution, they might want to buy a tricycle for distribution and might want to buy a truck for distribution. So you see, the prices of these two things are completely different. It might be that the borehole there, they need to drill up to 150 meters before they see water. And it's possible that although you'll be saying it's the same land, but my own place here, I might need only maybe 95 meters. So the prices and the cost of all these things, they are different. It's only if I know, okay, I know what and what, or there is a specific thing that you need. That is when I can now say, okay, this is how much I think it might cost you. And for the cost of these materials too, a lot of these things are imported. Basically the machine, everything is imported. So the costs of all these things too, they fluctuate in the market. So I can't really give you any fixed amount. What I can just say is what I have said now, and I hope with this one at least you understand what I'm trying to say. I saw another question there. Okay, what do you think of custom packing bag? Custom packing bag, honestly, I'll tell you, I do see people using customized packing bag, which is a good idea. It's an innovation. But do you know what most people do with packing bag when they buy water? I'm sure you too, Let me show you an example. This is an example of what they do with packing bag. This is an example of what customers do with packing bag. So, what I just see, customized packing bag will just cost you extra to package your water. At the end of the day, you'll still tear it. And it's not as if some of these people, like the people that buy water, that sell. Had it been you were selling bottled water, or you were selling specifically to households, that's to people who will even take time to read. You understand? You can experiment it, please. Let it not be as if me, I'm just speaking from my own perspective. But if you have the idea for customized packing bag, you can actually do it. I've seen some in the market, but I've never really had anything or any like connection or anything that will say, oh wow, this is innovative about it. But you can try it. You can print your customized packing bags and actually sell with it. And if you notice any difference, maybe you the customized bags, you're able to sell more, you're able to beat the competition. You can also share it with us so that we'll know how creative we can also be too when it comes to packaging our water. What will be the cost of used table water machine? And the cost of used table water machine depends on the age of the machine and the reason why they are selling it. So, but for that used one, let's say if you have like from 2 million, that's for something that looks good, at least from 2 million you should get it. You know, this one I said you're looking at 2.7, 2.8. So for 2 million at least you should, except if you get somebody that is selling for you bonanza and maybe the person is not really into sales of all these things, so they might just give it to you at a giveaway price. You know, somebody who selling machines is not his business, he just wants to recover at least some money for himself, he can give it to you at a good price. So if you know somebody, you can discuss with the person. But if you are buying from, and don't allow that person to communicate with someone who sells machine, because you won't see that machine again. The person says he will go and carry that machine and sell it to another person at a high price. So, but if you know somebody personally, you can talk to the person and say, okay, you want to use the machine, how much will they sell for you? Maybe the person bought the machine when it was 1.6 and he will just tell you, okay, bring 1.5. So you've gotten a Wolf Bonanza machine at a good price. But if you are buying from remarketers and people who, you know, they are into all these things, for you use machine, for you to get decent one, just hold from like 2 million upwards. I'm just seeing some comments here. Happy Sunday, I'll contact you soon. Thank you. Happy Sunday to you too. Bottled water machine and pure water machine, one each. How much for only the whole machine setup? Bottled water setup, the machine, one for the whole setup, including pet blowing, everything, you're looking at a budget of 75 million. For sachet water, one machine, everything, you're looking at a budget of 9 million. I think that's okay. For 50 or okay, now this particular one here that you said for 50 or 60 cl, this bottled water setup that I just mentioned now, it includes 35 cl, yes, 35, 50, then 75 cl. So those are the ones that at least and just Vado, thank you for sending the rules. I don't know what rules does. But this live stream something, I've been hearing about it, that when you live stream they send lion and the rest, and I'm like, what's all this? I guess maybe that's why I don't even do live streams, because I don't even really watch live streams like that. I'm the kind of, like, whenever I'm free, I'll go and watch the recording kind of person. So I'm not really familiar with how some of all these things work. But I think if it's something that I see people finding it more interesting, maybe I will do more live streams in the future, because I actually have a book where I record, where I keep all my videos, where I script all my videos. So those books is what at least maybe I can be able to extract some contents from there and share more information. And I actually had an idea one time. I won't share the idea here. I will only share that idea with my OG subscribers, but there's something I'm planning. That's why I'm telling people, go and follow me on YouTube, because on YouTube that's where you'll be seeing some kind of videos. So there's a place that I want to visit, and I've been getting a lot of questions about that particular business and that particular setup. So by the time I visit there, I'll be recording a video and be posting it on my YouTube channel. And the main reason why I also just talk about the YouTube is because there are some videos like the lecture I covered on water factory setup. That's the lecture delivered by NAFDAC. Is over 1 hour long, more than an hour long, and I can't post it here on TikTok. So that's why I post it on YouTube. So if you follow me on YouTube, there are some videos that I've posted there that you won't even see here. And there are a ton of information, lots of information that I've posted on YouTube that I'm not able to post. I've also done live stream on YouTube. I think I've done more than 5 live streams on YouTube, but it's just TikTok that I'm not really, I don't really know how the whole thing works here. But if you want to even do live stream on TikTok, you'll just be seeing too many things flashing around, and you don't know how to go about it. So, okay, have you started your setup in Ghana? No, I've not started my setup in Ghana. Sure, I've not been to Ghana before. The only thing I know about Ghana is, I know I think the capital is Kumasi. And I know Ghanaians are currently protesting against Nigerians. And I know we have a bag here in Nigeria that is called Ghana Must Go. And I know there was one of my friends that went to school in Ghana. So those are just the only things I know about Ghana. But for setting up a water factory, okay, there was a time someone sent me the list of the equipment for setting up a water factory. I think the most common machine, or the machine which they use for sachet water production in Ghana, is Koyo machine. So I know, yes, Ghanaians use Koyo for production. Those are just the basic things. If it is the price or the cost of setting up, I would have loved to know someone currently working in Ghana that's who does supply and installations of equipment, because that would be a way for me to also understand the Ghanaian market. But I don't currently have such persons, and yeah, I don't know how they usually source for things like that. What are the documentations and procedures that are required? I just only know that the major machine they use there. You know, the water treatment procedure is shall I say, is quite the same depending on the water quality, but the procedure is quite the same. You need your sand and carbon treatment plants, rising in some places, your water filter cartridges, the reverse osmosis. Those are the basic things that I know you need everywhere, either Nigeria, Ghana, Kenya, or wherever the place is. You need those things. But the packaging machine in particular, that's why I don't really know. And for the packaging machine, I don't think there are much differences, so because the concept of this sealing machine is quite basic. Is once you put the nylon behind, the machine draws the nylon down, and it has a sealing side that seals it. So it's quite basic depending on which machine. But for the fact that I've not seen Koyo machine and I've not heard anybody's experiences about using the Koyo machine, I can't really say which one is more durable. But this one, Dingley, is the one that I know that most factories use. I don't think the only factory set that I've seen them using Koyo machine in Nigeria was in Picture, because the person told me that they wanted to sell the equipment. And I don't know if the person was contacting me from Ghana and telling me he's in Nigeria, but that's just the only time that I've seen Koyo machine with someone using it in Nigeria. But for the most part, it's the Dingley machine that I have behind me here that is used in most factories. Okay, can you make a research for used bottled water machine complete one? For used bottled water machine, I know someone in Ibadan that told me they want to sell their bottling setup. The space where he initially wanted to set up the bottled water setup became too small and cramped up because they have other activities going there. There's the sachet water side, and there's another factory I think they have there in the same space. So he couldn't really move further with the bottling project. He told me he wants to sell the machine. So there are some people like that wants to sell. But all in general, if you want to buy any used machine, if you know the person, most advisably you can visit the place. Or if you don't want to go there on your own, you can also go with an engineer, someone who can help you do some checks. I personally work with an engineer that does some checks for this equipment, especially the electrical side of the machine, because this is where most of the challenges do arise. For the monoblock system, you have a lot of moving components and a lot of moving parts. So if the wiring is tampered with, especially the control panel under the machine, there needs to be some major settings and rewiring that needs to be done. So I have someone that usually helps me do those checks, because I myself, I can't do all those checks myself. If I ever open the control panel itself, I'll just confuse them all. So I usually have someone that helps with that. So yeah. Thank you for all the gifts and the likes I've received so far. I think I've answered most of the questions that are left here. In closing, like I said, check out the YouTube channel. The YouTube channel is where I've posted lots of information there. And if you have anything in particular, any question you have in particular, you can leave it down there in the comment section. I'll be sure to answer that. And okay, I just saw asking price. The asking price, is it for used machine? That used machine, I think only the monoblock, that's the block where washing, filling and capping is done. It's not the full setup. Only the monoblock, it says around 15 million. But I think that particular one, this one that I just mentioned, has already been sold. The one, because I don't know what the real price now is, except if you find someone who is selling now. But that particular one, the monoblock machine itself alone, we were selling it for 15 million, which I think is already sold. The new monoblock machine now is around 21 million. So I think 15 million is fair enough. Some cases where we can get it 14 million. Just like I mentioned earlier, depending on the person selling and how familiar he is with the current prices, you might get it for a good price, or you might get it at least a little less than the actual new one in the market. So yeah, I think those are just the major questions for this particular live stream. Thanks to all those who tuned in. Thanks to all those who sent some gifts. I saw rose, I saw badge, I saw ice cream. I don't even know what all these things do. But yeah, I will check them all out. And yeah, don't forget to check out the YouTube page and also support the videos. And if you know someone interested in setting up, you can share my videos with them. Almost likely they will find my videos, because one thing YouTube was telling me is people are finding me through search. People are searching and they are finding me. So I'm sure those in need, like like I mentioned, the way I got into making these videos, or why I started making these videos, is because when we initially wanted to start our home, there was no information out there. So the main goal of all this that I'm doing is just to share the information. and make sure that at least anybody looking to set up a water factory will know where to get the equipment, will know how to go about registering their company, and just understand the basics of the whole project. So I think I'll be ending the live stream for now until the next live stream. Bye bye.